All right, we're doing one more episode, one of many. PB and Jacks, pioneers, builders in Jacksonville. Today, special episode. We have somebody that's running for city council in 2027. Not only are we here to learn more about that, want to hear the story, want to give him an opportunity to share his platform and why he's running, and give you an opportunity to learn more about who the candidate is. So, Mr. Andrew McCann, thank you so much for being on PB and Jacks, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
You're very welcome. So my plan for this is walk through who you are as a person.
Okay.
Kind of life up until now, personal and professional. And from there, let's get into why you're running. And then at the back half of the conversation, let's talk about, the platform, the values, and what you'd like to see if you were to win.
Okay. Sure.
Awesome. Let's start not the super beginning, maybe not with you as a newborn, but
Sure.
Let's chat a little bit about who you are and just give a little overview.
Yeah, of course. So I was born and raised in Jacksonville. I'm a third generation native. My grandfather actually was first generation immigrant. He came here from the Dominican Republic when he was 5 years old. He was kicked out of his country very abruptly and forced to come here in the middle of the night on a banana boat. And from there, he graduated top of his class at Georgia Tech, became one of the most prominent architects in Jacksonville, led the Republican Army for years, and left a legacy behind that I'm so proud of. That's long story short, something that I would like to provide for my children is something that they can be proud of as well. But I never thought that I would be getting into this at all until, I don't want to say very recently, but pretty recently. I went to Paxton High School, didn't graduate from there, wasn't a very good student, skipped school a lot, didn't know what I wanted to do in life. So I left there, got a 3.5 years of APs and good credits in, and then transferred to Wolfson to kind of ride that last 6 months out. Didn't really go there much either, but had enough credits throughout the 4 years to graduate. And I had no idea what I wanted to do in life. So I went to work for my dad for a little bit, actually driving trucks, delivering bottled water. He had a local bottled water company here in town. And I did that for, I'd say a couple of years. And then when I was 20, I decided I was going to move to Colorado, because I still didn't know what the hell I wanted to do in life.
Yeah.
So I moved out to Colorado when I was 20 years old and turned 21 in Colorado. And that was a blast. I worked for the mountain, so I had no responsibilities other than making sure that I somehow, some way got to the mountain at least 4 or 5 days a week. That was pretty easy to do. And I just loved it, man. It was no responsibilities. It was, I didn't have to have a path. I could just live freely. And all of that kind of came slamming down when I got a call that my grandfather passed in 2010. So I kind of wrapped up that year. Different grandfather, by the way, the other grandfather. I wrapped up, I'd say another month out there, and then moved back home. And his death got me really interested in medicine. He had been diagnosed with polio when he was 13 years old. So, they called him 4 on the floor. He had crutches since he was 13. He spent I guess he was 16 because he spent 3 years in the hospital. But he had a lot of complications through life, but he was always the happiest human being you'd ever meet in your entire life. So I got really, really lucky with both my grandfathers in that regard. I looked up to them both very highly. And then when he got older, he had breathing complications, and there were some questions that were surrounded his death that I kind of investigated more. And upon doing so, I found this new love for medicine that I never knew I had before. So I kind of switched gears completely. I became a CNA pretty much overnight. Studied for that at some school. Started working at Memorial Hospital on the 5th floor, med surg. Started going to EMT school, and I started going to FSCJ for nursing school. And I thought that was going to be it. I was going to be a nurse. Well, I got to school, and I was really good at it when I tried. When I applied myself, it was something new to me that I actually enjoyed. So I switched gears. I thought I was going to go to medical school. Completed my AA at FSCJ, and then transferred down to South Florida, where I met my beautiful wife, Carly, and joined a fraternity and was all set for pre-med. Did really well through that. Graduated and, not quite graduated. My wife graduated a semester before me. So she moved up to Boston for her program, and I just chased her instead. So I finished up school, chased her instead. And I got into 2 medical schools, but I thought another 10 years of school was going to be a lot, and I wanted to get my life started. I was already 26 years old. I know that's not old thinking back now, but I didn't think another 10 years was going to be conducive for us. I did some soul searching. And I called my cousin, who's a spine surgeon in New York, and I say, what's the next best thing, for me to be a part of the team? I love, the operating room. And he told me to be a rep, a med device rep. So he gave me some tools to study up on, and I got a whole bunch of different interviews through LinkedIn and landed my first job in Baltimore as a trauma orthopedic rep with Stryker Orthopedic, excuse me. And that was a big deal then, because that's one of the biggest companies in the world for that. And coming out of college, essentially, like, that was a really big deal. In Baltimore, there's 3 level 1 trauma centers. So it's a very sink or swim type environment. And so I spent years there, and in that very gritty, competitive environment where, it's all money. It was all about money. It was all about power. It was all about, everything but what it should have been about. Right. And then we got pregnant with our first child, Charlotte, in 2018. I'd always wanted to be a dad, man. Like, I just knew that was my purpose. So we took a step back and decided to move back to Florida to be with our family, with my family. My wife's actually from Kansas City, so that we could have help with the baby. And she was born in October 2018, but unfortunately she passed away in December of 2018 on my 30th birthday. We woke up at 3 a.m. and she died of SIDS. So that obviously threw a huge wrench into everything. I woke up a dad, and after, however long that took till, we obviously went to the hospital and things like that, but I came home from the hospital and I had no purpose, man. I was just lost and I didn't know what to do anymore. And I think a lot of people in those situations struggle with their relationships. And I mean, you've seen, people who lose children, they split, but that wasn't the case with my wife and I. And it only re-solidified our marriage and relationship. And through this horrible tragedy, it brought us closer. And I wouldn't have been able to survive it if it weren't for her. And I didn't have a purpose, like I said. So I kind of went into a depressed state. The company that I had been working for at the time, not Stryker, laid me off in, I think it was February or March, because they weren't happy with my performance over the last few months following my daughter's death. So that was a really big wake-up call for me in corporate life and things like that. I didn't get out immediately, but I did. I got out of that immediately, but I needed a new purpose, a new sense of fulfillment, a reason to live, or a reason to get out of bed in the morning. And my brother had mentioned something to me, I think the day after she had passed, about getting a tattoo with her name on it or something like that. And I had never had a tattoo in my life. I had never had a reason to get one. I never wanted one. And I kind of brushed it off at first and said, I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, I'll think about it. And the more I started thinking about it, I kind of started reading into memorial tattoos, and I saw an option where tattoo artists can, like, sprinkle ashes into tattoo ink. And coming from the medical field, coming from, getting a degree in biomedical sciences, that didn't seem very safe. So I did a lot more research on that and learned that it wasn't safe at all. There's a lot of things that can go wrong if you do that. So I kind of started thinking more about it and came up with a way to infuse cremated remains into tattoo ink instead of just sprinkling them in. It became part of the solution itself. People have actually been using ashes for tattoo ink for thousands of years. And all it is carbon, right? So I found a way to reduce the ashes to a microgranular level and then mechanically agitate it into the tattoo ink itself. So it's actually a part of the carbon pigmentation of the ink itself. So every year on my birthday, I don't celebrate it anymore. We do have 2 boys now, Corbin and Colin, who are 4 and 5, and the biggest blessings of our lives. And Corbin will be 6 actually this weekend. But every year now I wake up and I go get a tattoo with her ink in it. And that's my birthday celebration now. And so I started with 0 and now have, all the way up, because it just continues and continues. And this year actually was the first year that my boys they can read now. And so I have Charlotte's name right here and things like that. And so so I thought it'd be really cool to get their names tattooed on me this year. So for Christmas, my birthday's on December 16th. I don't know if I mentioned that. So I kind of kept it hidden. And then on Christmas, I showed them that I got this year, which is their names, Corbin and Colin. And so they were able to see that on Christmas, and they got all excited and said, oh, that's like, but they know the story behind Sissy, and they know the story behind Charlotte, and they know her, and we pray to her every night. And that's a part of our lives, and that's a part of our family. She'll be a part of our family forever. So going back to, why and when I got into this, I went and started working for a smaller orthopedic company, one that wasn't very corporate. And I loved that, but it quickly became corporate. after a couple of years, 2 or 3 years.
Mm.
And again, went to another small company that did the same thing. And it got to the point where I just wasn't feeling like I was a valuable asset. I was just another person moving along. And meanwhile, I was living in Jacksonville, and I wanted to get more involved in things. And, I think it was like a pivotal moment in October of last year when I decided to walk away from working for anybody else again, period, and solely focusing on my family, our faith, and the city. So my dad had owned a restaurant, he owns a couple of restaurants, but he owns a diner in Arlington. It's called University Diner. It's a staple of Arlington. It's been there forever, since 1999. He bought it in 2013. And when I got out of corporate, he has another restaurant down in St. Augustine that he's primarily at. So I said, hey, can I take over University? I kind of want to be home, and the idea of working with you has always been great. And I kind of want to get into some city leadership opportunities, and it's very conducive to do so. You close at 2:30 every day. So, he was on board. He thought it was a great idea. My wife thought it was a great idea, and I started delving into this and learning as much as I could. And the more I learned, the more I decided that it wasn't a decision, it was a calling. I mean, I see the things that are going on downtown with the city council, and I get a pit in my stomach, because it's just gross. It's a circus that doesn't need to be going on in my city. And I think that, with my family's history and where, we've always considered Jacksonville home, it's not fair to watch a group of people try to put themselves first and destroy the city in the interim. So I truly did. I felt a calling to do this. And Matt Carlucci, bless him, is a wonderful human being. He is currently the council member for At-Large Group 4. And I've been going to him regularly for advice. This is a very scary world when you know nothing about it. And he's been nothing but an asset to me along the way. And that's the full story.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack a little bit of it.
Sure.
And we'll get into the city council stuff.
Yeah.
You're not the only one with that opinion about it being a mess.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about it. So how long have you been married now?
Oh, God. I got married October 7th, 2017. So quick math, this will be 9 years? 8 years?
This year will be 9 years.
9 years, yeah.
Married 9.
Yeah.
And are you still currently with the diner?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Well, that's great, by the way. That was really cool how we think about full circle moments, but for you to be a part of the diner, especially as it's such a staple of the community.
Right.
It's really cool, and an excellent way for you to get out of this corporate mess. It's interesting as I'm sitting here talking to you that the company laid you off for your performance, and in no part am I surprised by that. I mean, that should probably tell you a lot. There's nothing about that shocks me.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah, it's mortifying. Oh, first and foremost, I want to say, obviously, my condolences, and I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Your ability to share that story and be able to walk that path with me is impressive. So,
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, there's no doubt that's going to play a big role in your campaign as you look forward to becoming city council.
I think so. I think that more so than anything, it's kept me on a moral compass. It's unbelievable how just having somebody like, I like Charlotte, to me, puts everything into perspective, even now, right? I mean, on the way here, I was starting to get super nervous, right? Why not, right? And all I did was think about Charlotte and her story and the reason where we are now, and all of that went away. All of it. I mean, it's all I have to do is think about her or rub my arm or just picture her, and everything just goes away because it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. It's like,
well, there's going to be plenty of speaking engagements over the course of the next year. So I hope that there's some peace that comes along the journey.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So for you, why did you choose to run at large versus a district?
That was an easy choice, just because the district that I live in is Joseph Carlucci's district, and he's running again, and I respect him quite a bit. I actually went to school with him at some point. I think it was a year of elementary school. But I respect him. He's got another term coming up, and he's done a great job, quite frankly. He's done a really great job. So I think running against him would do nothing in the council.
Had it crossed your mind at all to to move into a different district and represent that district?
No, it just happened so that Matt Carlucci Sr. is terming out.
Mhm.
So it was more so a layup, honestly. I believe that God does things and puts things in order for you, in place for you to at certain times, I guess, in life. And it seems like everything just unfolded. Like the decision was so easy, right? It was everything happened, and then I was able to take a step back and look, and that was the obvious choice.
For me, out of ignorance and those who might not know, why was Group 4 more aligned to you than I think Group 2 seats is also open? So if you were to do a different at-large.
Sure. So that's also geography based. The
Oh,
at-large
is it?
seats. It is. So there's 14 district seats in the council, and then there's 5
Okay.
at-large.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was all done in the early 90s to add those 5 at-large to kind of make sure you didn't have, council stacking going on. So the 5 at-larges represent the whole county, but you still have to live within the at-large group geographical region.
Okay.
So there's
I
still
was not
5
aware of that.
regions. Yeah. I actually didn't know much about that either until I started delving more into it last year.
Okay. Are you running as a Democrat or as a
I'm running as a Republican, but I want to make this very clear. I do not believe in the dichotomy of bipartisan politics at the local level. I believe that is the root of what the issue is downtown, and I don't stand for it. If I had my way, and I will tell you that if I get elected to this council, it will be something that I will look into at some point, is making the council nonpartisan. So school board right now is a nonpartisan vote, and a lot of cities have councils that are nonpartisan elected as well. So you don't know. I mean, you might know, but you don't have an R or a D next to your name when you vote for the person. It's just merit based solely.
Jacksonville Beach is just like that.
Correct.
Even the mayor's seat, you can't run under a party.
Correct.
So you would like to, as you get into council, you would like to make it to where there is no party affiliation for those who are running. That would be one of the things you'd like to fix.
Ideally. Now, don't get me wrong. That's not something I'm going to be able to do in 2, 3, 4 years, right? I'm talking just in a future idealistic society of Jacksonville. That would be ideal.
Were you advised that running as an independent might not be a good idea?
No, actually, I was an independent. And when I decided to run, I changed parties to Republican earlier on. I'd say probably 10 years ago, mainly just because my grandfather's legacy, he, was a Republican. My whole family are Republicans too. It's not something that, we shy away from. But I think that for the position in the city that we're in, the Republican is the best way to get there. And I definitely am more conservative than liberal. And on a federal level, I'm more conservative for sure as well.
Yeah, great segue point. So in terms of values, if you lean a little bit more on the Republican side, for people who are interested in voting for this and what they care about is less about the letter next to the name and more about the values themselves, how would you describe your platform of values as a candidate? What things mean more to you than others? And on maybe some of the more controversial topics, which way do you lean and how far?
So I think fundamentally, my core values has always just been conservative. I lean into thinking more that we should, we're a constitutional republic, not a full democracy, right? So we follow a constitution that was created at some point, and I believe that we should be more conservatively following that guidelines. But I'm also a progressive conservative as well, so I don't believe that stone was written in stone. Does that make sense? It was written in stone necessarily. I think we should be the Constitution itself shouldn't be ever evolving, but I think the translation of it should be ever evolving. If that makes sense?
It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just walk through some items that are somewhat controversial.
Sure.
We'll call them polarizing.
There you go.
The city budget.
That sealed the deal for me. That was the final nail in the coffin that made me decide I was going to run. I went to every meeting over the finance committee during the financial hearing, and it was just like I described it before, the circus. I mean, it was so obvious. Agendas were everywhere. False swords were being created to fall on in order to give up something that wasn't really being given up. There were a lot of backdoor deals. It was all a big show for nothing. They knew they made a mistake early on by rolling the millage back before they even got to the budget by 1/8 of a mil, which saves taxpayers $17 a year, I think is what it rolled out to be, right? We had the biggest budget proposal that we'd ever had in Jacksonville's history. We have the downtown initiative going, the Emerald Trail. We have all the parks that are going in. We've already pre-committed to the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium and the Four Seasons Hotel.
Yes.
And this is the first year out of the last 8 where we didn't have an increase. This isn't the year that we do a rollback. I'm all for saving taxpayer money when it's being wasted or when there's a time that we can do that. Doing it before we go through a budget where we know we're going to be tight already is not the time to do it. What they should have done is gone through the whole budget and then decided if there's a rollback necessary. But instead, they didn't do that. So now we had to go and cut. They started cutting programs like North Florida Regional Council, telehealth, infant mortality, and things like that.
Which clearly is something that means something to you.
A huge deal to me, correct?
Right.
So I was shaking. And, at the end of the day, it was just all politics. They knew that they were going to have to put these things back into the budget. They knew that. But they cut these things out in order to make their own agenda, to propel their own agendas, right?
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, all they care about is next election cycle. I voted to turn those to cut your taxes. Remember that? I would never vote not to cut your taxes. That's all it was a dog and pony show.
Yep.
So now everybody's that got dragged on for days and days and days into the wee hours of the morning for no reason.
So Matt Carlucci's famously non-performative. I don't want to say famously, but anybody that knows anything about city council, he's not the kind of guy that'll just say things outlandishly to invoke some kind of an opinion or a response. If you get elected, you'll be taking his seat. And in theory, you will not be a performative individual. However,
Correct.
your council members will still be the same kind of personalities. My question is, I'm leading to this. If Matt can't really wrangle it in, how are you going to wrangle it in?
I understand that completely. And that's a really good question. This campaign is not against one person. I'm not running against one person. I'm not running against 2 people. I'm running against the machine. I am making it publicly known that I'm running for the people to change how the council works. I don't think that it's obviously that it doesn't work. And you see I'll tell you one example. Joel Arias, who was the finance chair,
He was.
at one point
Yep.
very important, right? At one point in the budget hearing, stood up and just berated Matt Carlucci Sr. right in front of him. The amount of the lack of professionalism, I believe there was profanity used and things like. My jaw was on the floor, and there was 300 people. I don't know how many people. There's a whole audience full of people in the back just watching this happen. Not only did the president not stop him from doing this, nobody on the council stopped him from doing this. It was awkwardly long, the amount of time that Raul was just berating Matt Carlucci for no reason. He later came out 2 weeks and apologized, but he also lost his position as the chair. I think that the accountability from the president has to be more transparent. He's these backdoor deals where he's appointing people to these committees for what reason? Obviously, Raul wasn't the best choice to be our finance chair. So why did he appoint him to that? These are the things that I'm trying to bring transparency to.
Well, I have 2 questions to unpack straight from that. Number one is, let's say you're on council and something like that takes place. Situationally, you're in the room. How do you stop somebody from doing that? Like, what would you do if you were on the council panel whenever somebody was getting berated?
Well, I would interject. Wholeheartedly, I would interject. I almost interjected as an audience member. And had I not been running for council, I probably would have.
Yeah.
Because I respect Matt Carlucci wholeheartedly. And it really hurt my feelings to watch him,
Berated?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really.
So here's my second question. And to me might be the most important question I'm going to ask. You are being vocal about people who are in your party. Do you see that as a way that's going to work for you or against you, or does that concern you in any?
It doesn't concern me in any regard. At the end of the day, the people vote. I've already gotten calls to get out of this race. I've been offered money to get out of this race. I've been told that, there's no way you're going to have any leg to stand on because you're going against your own party and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going against my own party. I'm going against radicalism within my own party. I'm going against polarization within my own party. And I say my party very loosely because, like I said, at the local level, I think it should be our city, not our party. And I've caught multiple council members saying, well, that's not what's best for the party, and that's why I'm okay mentioning names, like I do. because that right there seals the fate. I mean, you just said it, right? It's not what's best for the Republican Party. It's not what's best for you, but nobody's saying or asking what's best for Jacksonville. Not one point during that entire financial hearing did anybody stand up or say, what's going to be best for Jacksonville or the people of Jacksonville. That never happened, except for the amount of people that stood at the podium and said, you're being idiots, but they don't listen to that.
Speaking of money, the Navi system, another hot topic. JTA autonomous.
Yeah.
What's your take?
I think that was a silly move. We already have 1.2 miles. I don't remember what it is of that SkyTrack that nobody uses. I think it was a silly investment. I think it was just all for show. I think that it was opportunistic, and like I said, I'm conservative in that regard. I think that was a waste of money.
Okay.
I think that won't. There's nothing that I have seen previously that will show that will benefit our city at all.
Okay. Fair. Some people have counter arguments, but I was curious about your position on it.
Sure.
So my biggest thing when I think about me voting, the things I care about the most, there's really two. The fact that we drive innovation and the fact that we create local jobs. I don't want the national economy to affect people having the ability to go to work in Jacksonville. So if you were to get on council, what would be the way that you would make sure that we're driving innovation forward, and how would you make sure that we're continuing to create jobs?
Well, driving innovation is definitely going to be with everything that we're seeing with the downtown initiative and things like that now, right? I mean, we're only going up from here unless we keep getting knocked back down 10 years like we have been with the council. But creating jobs will come with that as well, right? I mean, it's all about we're developing. Like, that's inevitable. It's happening. Now what we have to do is take a step back and say, how can we do this smart? Because right now, if you take a look at some of those contributions into the PACs, they're pretty interesting timing as to when contracts were bidded out and donations were made. And a lot of the contracts are getting bidded out to outside sources outside of Jacksonville. So if we can keep the bidding system fair in Jacksonville for contracts, that will open up more jobs by itself.
Fair.
Just by having local contractors do what we're trying to do anyways. So that's one step we can do. I mean, if aside from that, it's, just smart planning and just common sense leadership.
Okay. For you said the budget upset you, but you also said that it's one of the big reasons you ran. So just based on what you know about some of the way the council has voted on certain topics or how the mayor's running the city, if you were to get in and say, like, I'm going to fix these issues, like I have the ability to fix 1, 2, and 3, what are the hottest items for you as you enter into the council seat?
I think the biggest one is just working with the mayor instead of against her. Everybody that is opposing me or saying, you should be going with your own party, they're saying that all their rhetoric is everything except what Donna Deegan's doing. So it doesn't matter what she's actually doing. It's just the fact that she's doing it. So the first thing that I would do is repair the relationship between the offices. I think that city council should always be working with the mayor instead of against her or trying to get her out. It's inevitable. She has a 63% approval rating right now. 63. The council, last I checked, had like a 38% approval rating. That speaks volumes to this people. That means you're in the wrong, council. You have got to change something. And by doing that, that will fix all those other issues like the budgets and things like that are getting way out of control. If you fix the relationships, work with the mayor, then we can just avoid 70% of that crap that went on last year.
Have you met with the mayor yet?
I've met her. I haven't met with her. It's early yet, and I understand that. She's advised me it's early, so I'm looking forward to meeting with her, but okay. I have not yet. But we have a lot of the same political ideals as far as nonpartisanship at a local level, and I will say she ran on that a lot, and there are a few things since that I have noticed that she could be a little more nonpartisan on, but aside from that, I think she's doing a pretty good job.
Have you met with any of the councilmen?
A lot of them, yeah. I've met with, obviously, Matt Carlucci quite a bit. Ken Amaro is a pretty good friend. He's in Arlington, which is where the diner is, so he comes by a lot, and we've done a few things together. There's a CRA going on in Arlington right now, which is a revitalization project that only came to fruition this year. So a lot of local businesses and property owners kind of came to a point of contention with each other that Ken and I worked with each other a lot on to try to help resolve. So I got close with him. And then Michael Boylan is also a friend. We're in the Rotary Club together in Mandarin. So yeah, I've met with all of them, I think, and speak to 4 or 5 of them pretty regularly.
Have you felt that any or all of them have given you good advice about the run?
Absolutely. I would say 80% of the people say don't do it. And I think it's not because they don't want me to do it. It's because they're saying it's grueling, and it's public, and, you just have to make sure that it's really something that you do for the right reasons, which I wish I could say they did.
Right. Well, we've got, it's January. We got about 14 months till
Yeah.
the election. So what is the next 14 months going to look like for you?
So I'm all grassroots. I'm not getting, American Dream Finder home donations, by $25,000 at a time. Everything I'm doing is based on word of mouth and total grassroots. So a lot of door knocking, a lot of town halls, a lot of meet and greets, a lot of just a lot of anything I can do to just talk to as many people as possible, just to say, look, let's put Jacksonville first. And my initial idea was not just, like I said, not taking one seat, or not running for one seat or against one person, but changing the culture. So I'm trying to create a collaboration of people, of like-minded people that share this vision, and get them together. And that's what a lot of this next 14 months is going to look like too, is finding these people, but more so getting these people together and working with these people to create a plan that will work.
Okay. I know you said it's grassroots. Is the campaign bootstrapped? Are you raising your own money or?
Yeah, no, I'm raising my own money. So far, it's been grueling, but coming out, I filed in essentially November 1st, really, so right before the holidays. So it was a lot of friends and family, but I didn't do a lot of pushing, just because I felt like it wasn't an appropriate time. I try to spend a lot of time with my family during the holidays too, and I just felt like, yeah, I didn't want to be slimy. I don't know any other way to say it. So I just paused a little bit and got through the holidays, and then we came out of the gate swinging this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been told, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, running for at-large requires a larger raise
Absolutely.
than running for a district. So walk us through that. I mean, do you feel good about it? Is this going to be a 12-month thing where you're consistently raising money?
Yeah.
Is there a particular number that you're looking to hit?
I've heard numbers 400, 500,000 are required. And if you look at the past races, you see anywhere from 200 to 400,000 raised. I've been told numbers to shoot for, but that means that's a goal that you stop when you get to, and right now I don't have a monetary goal. I have a spreading the message goal. I have a talking to people goal. And if we get donations along the way, that's great. And I'm actively, obviously, still trying to fundraise and do things like that, but more so I'm just trying to talk to as many people as I can. And a lot of that, results in getting
donations.
Do
you know who the public? I mean, the filings are public. Has everybody filed yet, or is there? What's the deadline for everybody to get into the race?
No. You won't. Let's see. One person has filed. 2 people have filed aside from me so far. In fact, 3 people have filed for me so far. 1 is already backed out. This race is weird. There's been a lot of interest in this seat in particular, so it's going to be a very interesting race. I know of one other person that's coming in, and it's going to surprise a lot of people. I'll hold off on saying who it is because I'm hoping he'll still change his mind. But it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be really interesting. There's a lot of people that want to see the seat go to one person or another, and I think they're willing to do a lot to make that happen.
Okay. Do you feel that this one person would kind of make your chances dwindle? Is that why you hope that they don't enter?
No, I don't think that it would, actually. I think that what I'm trying to do is create a diverse culture, and I think it wouldn't be conducive for that. And if he enters, circle back and you'll know who I'm talking about completely. But it'll make a lot more sense then. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense for why he wants to get in the race at all, other than just to play politics. You know what? Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, the whole thing.
The thing is all of it's believable.
I know.
We use the word unbelievable all the time, but all of it's believable. That's the most unbelievable part.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, let's fast forward, man. Let's say you win. First and foremost, how is that going to feel?
I haven't gotten there, man. I literally haven't even tried to think about what that moment would feel like yet. I think it would probably just feel amazing. I think I will have had to have been very blessed for that to have happened. Okay. So I think for sure it will be a moment of reflection and a moment of holy crap, to be honest with you.
Okay. That's a great, I mean, I wouldn't blame you for that. So I'm going to keep on the forward thinking front. If you win, it'll be a holy crap moment. You get through your first term. What would be the number one thing you would feel accomplished by if you were to achieve it in your first 4 years?
Creating a better culture in Jacksonville. So we're going to start at the council, and there's elections for council every 2 years. So like I said, I'm not just fighting for one seat, but I'm trying to place people in positions for that diversity. So I'm hoping that over in 4 years, we'll have a much better culture, and we'll be able to actually get things done with the mayor. And then at that point, we'll have a new mayor coming in. So who knows what it'll look like, but I can guarantee you Deegan's going to get elected next year. Guarantee you.
Okay.
So
we'll stamp it.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
That's my prediction right now.
All right, deal. The last thing I really want to touch on before we wrap this is family support. Every council person I've spoken to and every potential council person I've spoken to talks about the effects of it at home. Mm-hmm. And not just because it can get ugly. That part is true, but you're out of the house a lot. You're running campaign trails. You're shaking a lot of hands. You're doing a lot of podcast interviews. You're meeting with the different journals and all this other stuff. And that stuff in its own right can stretch you thin. So I'm sure you obviously had a conversation with your spouse and told her what this was going to look like. But what does it mean to have the support at home, and how important is it to you for the campaign?
It's the most important thing. There's no way I'd be able to run right now without her support, the same way I wouldn't have been able to survive, our daughter's passing without her support, or it's just not possible. We're a partnership in life, and I wouldn't do anything without her, and I don't want to say permission, but without her, approval or without blessing. So, and it's really sweet now because the boys our slogan is "Yes, we McCann," because my last name is McCann. So we did "Yes, we McCann," and we printed some stickers out, and the boys took them to school and passed them out to their friends and things like that. They're already doing their job. They're already campaigning for Dad now and don't even know it. But they love the "Yes, we McCann." So every time we start talking about it, they just, "Yes, we McCann, yes, we can." So they're doing a great job. I love it.
That's awesome. Is there anything I skipped over that we should talk about that's super important to you about this?
I don't think so, man. I think that, all I really want people to understand is that I'm not a politician. I have a deep love for this city that I know we can get back on track to make the bold city of the South, finally. And the way to do that is to put smart people that are common sense first believing people that will just do the right thing and just vote with their heart and not put themselves or their parties or any other agenda first aside from Jacksonville and making Jacksonville great.
Okay.
So that's it.
Well, I love that. And I wish you nothing but the best. I hope you have a successful run. I'm very interested to see how this year plays out. And if you need anything from us, obviously just let us know.
I appreciate that so much. And I really appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.